And then I think this week you guys are going to hear a lot about your challenge. It's a good challenge. Rock Valley College has sponsored this week, and I want to turn it over to them to allow them to prepare you.
This week, though, we are asking for a presentation and also a little commercial. So what we'd like you to do this week is we've got samples, packets of some of our marketing information. And of course, you can look around the community at billboards and television and radio to see some of the other things that we do. We would like you to analyze it. We would like you to do some sort of a survey to reach out beyond just your team. Of course, the more numbers, the more information we get, the more valid the information is for us to use. So we would like your concepts and evaluation of some of the marketing that we have. What we're asking for you to do then is to do a 20-minute presentation to us as far as an evaluation of our marketing and suggestions on what we could do, how we could message better, and then also a 30-second TV spot. Basically, it's 10 points for every factor. So there'll be 60 points total for the presentation. We're going to be looking at an explanation of what factors are critical in the decision-making for prospective students. So what things are they looking at when they're looking at competition and looking at going forward in school? So what are those critical factors? What visuals are motivating? What types of things should we be showing in photos and television and things like that? What are key messages? If you could get it down to a couple of sound bites, what are those key messages that will be influential to students to come to Rock Valley? What venues? This is our biggest challenge nowadays, is how to reach out to people. We're hearing radio's not as effective anymore. Is television, is billboard, how do we reach out to students who are making those decisions? Any other suggestions and observations? And then, as I said, we'd like you to do some sort of a survey among peers, so we would like to see the results of that survey also included in your presentation. Then there's 40 points that will be awarded for the 30-second television spot. We're going to be looking at messaging. Is it comprehensive? Is it on point? Is there a call to action in the television spot? Is there clarity of message, a single focus, even things such as dictation of the actors so that it's clear to understand? Timing and flow of the commercial, and then the innovation or outreach. We're really looking at what are some of the factors that you all took into consideration as you're looking at your education. What are some of the things you hear in the community that maybe are not true about Rock Valley College, that we need to address those and straighten that out? What are some of the experiences that you've had that you think others would like to hear about and would be important in them making the decision to come here? So we're just really thrilled to sort of see and hear the messaging through your eyes and to help and guide us as far as how we can strengthen our messaging out there in the community as well. As I can tell you from a real world perspective, this is real world. You will almost always be working in teams, and you will also be competitive for your own areas or your own spots, but yet you have to look at the overall good and to make it happen. And also, there's always tight deadlines. That's just the nature of the beast right now. So to be able to work through something that actually is quite complex and to whittle it down to a 20-minute presentation and a 30-second commercial is really going to be a lot of work for you this week. But I hope it's going to be fun. I hope you can use your creativity, and we look forward to it.
I guess what we'd like to do is just start by having each team tell us how they think they did, what went good, how did the week go. Maybe give me just a brief explanation of how you went about coming to this presentation today.
This week with us, we started with your advice that we got from the last boardroom experience, and we went off of that to begin with. It was a lot of conflicting agreements, but at the end of the day, we came to the point that was how we wanted to present, and that was what we wanted to do.
What did you do throughout the week?
This week, the first automatically we got on a survey and we were in the, we met all week and we were in the student center just getting a survey, interacting with the private community and getting their input on what should change, what will help them. And then besides that, the work was like we brought each what we had to bring to the table, like the commercial and stuff.
Everybody else, you guys feel like you won?
I think we really tried to take the advice you gave us last week to heart and really switch around our approach to our presentation.
My team, I think we did very well today because in the beginning it was very difficult because we all had these different ideas, we all had these opinions, and it was getting to the point where nothing was getting done until it just, you know, we collaborated. That's what happened. We collaborated and everything was just so smooth.
How did Naomi do as a project leader this week?
I think she did very well. Oh, I think that we had a better idea. I think that she was the right choice for project leader here this week.
Dominic? How did Naomi do?
I feel like she did a good job. There are areas for improvement, I believe, being the second week of competition. There are things that I would have done differently, and I
like
put
what?
that out there. Personally, if I had more time, I would have probably reeled the group in more often and actually allocated real roles that had to be done. I probably would have been just a bit more in your face, take charge, but that's my personality.
You know, she communicated with me as far as the video project. She went out to the shooting, she told us what she wanted done. She gave us a script to use, and we were really able to work around what she wanted. I remember the first day we sat down right after the meeting and we created an agenda. We got all the numbers and all the information necessary. And then we communicated a lot better with our intern, Brandon.
How did your project leader do?
I feel like Ashanti did really well in the sense that she wanted everything to get done and she wanted it to get done well. With that being said, I think that there is a difference between being a team leader and a team dictator, and I think that some of our team morale kind of got sacrificed a little bit this week because we didn't feel like our opinion or voice was significant.
Do you agree with that, Ashanti?
I think that it wasn't, we did have our conflicts this week, but I think it wasn't all entirely me. It was as a team we had our conflicts, and as a team we came back together.
Did you dictate?
I don't think I dictated.
So what do you say?
My suggestions for improving a project were overlooked, or they were completely brushed under, or when they were pitched, they were given, I feel like I was given a lot of attitude.
Now last week, Ashanti said that you were the weakest player. Does that have anything to do with this week?
And I don't think any of that has to do with last week.
A lot of the emotions from last week carried into this week. As far as Ashanti goes, she kind of let her emotions get the best of her as far as her personally believing she was targeted to go home.
Were you guys targeting her?
No, no, not
That's
her.
what you believe?
Like, I just felt like I felt like if the way things would have happened, then I would have went home. The reason I was chosen as team leader, I didn't volunteer. When you said pick a team leader, the entire team looked at me. That's because of my resources that I have with Rock Valley. That's why I was chosen for it. And when I used my resources, like, it was like, no, that's not what we're going to do. And I was trying to put the point across about the resources, and that was, I think, where the attitude came in, because I'm like, you asked me for my resources, and when you get their opinion, you don't use it, so what's the point in using it?
All right, so let's hear comments from our judges and faculty.
Sure. Well, first of all, we want to express our gratitude for all of the hard work that both teams put into this challenge. As Dr. Becker said at the end, we learned a lot from both teams, there's no question. And we will go back to our groups that we work with on a regular basis and sift through all of the different ideas from both teams and probably cherry pick from both groups what we really need to capitalize on. Team Change, for example, talked a little bit about curb appeal. And it was a really interesting element for us to consider, and one that we know. We know that when you drive on Mulford, you see mostly grass. But we think of our front door as the Mulford roadside. Spring Brook is our back door. Yet we have our curb appeal is backwards, from that perspective. So just to give you one example of something that we really liked. We realized right away we had a challenge with our rubric. Of course, we gave you the rubric at the beginning of the week, so you knew what you were going to be evaluated on. What we didn't attribute any, or very few, if any, points toward was the actual presentation itself. The commercial, there were a few points directed toward sort of the flow and the timing of the commercial, but that was 30 seconds out of 20 minutes. Advocates of Progress, it was really easy to follow your presentation because you just ticked off the rubric right down the line, and you even used on your graphics the title of what element it was that you were speaking to. My personal style was that I actually enjoyed your presentation much more. It was creative, it was engaging, the use of the skit was really cool. Both of them, I think, were professional, both of them were creative. You had a nice use of your PowerPoints and your tools and things like that. Your group seemed like you had a more comprehensive team unit to us than this group. This group, it was a bunch of individuals who kept passing the mic back and forth to each other. But yours seemed like a team approach to the presentation. And your group stayed within the time frame. And that's going to be a key element to the outcome. You stayed within the time frame. Unfortunately for Advocates of Progress, your total presentation length was 32 minutes, but you were given 20 minutes. We decided to let you go, but to penalize you for going over, and we penalized you as many percentage of points as the minutes you went over. Okay, so you were penalized 37.5% of your points because you went over by that much.
From, my area deals with marketing and public relations, so you guys were really speaking to me and my team, so I did get a lot of information from both. Again, if I look at some of the data and the detail and the articulation with it, I think I gathered a little bit more information from Team 1. So again, I just want to thank you both. I think the content was great, and a few of the ideas we are working on, so it was nice affirmation for our teams that were sitting there to see and to hear that as well. So thanks.
Yeah.
We give the score.
And one other thing for Advocates of Progress, because I feel like I gave you a specific example with curb appeal, and a specific example I think that resonated throughout your entire presentation was that you presented a problem and then a solution. So that was really good. And one example was the tuition packaging. It's an interesting idea. We may not be able to go there quickly, but it's one that we probably hadn't even really thought about. So now we have food for thought.
So the total points for Team Change totaled 1,119 points. The original points for Advocates of Progress was 1,181. So you would have won, but we subtracted 37% of that. So you had a total of 739. So Team Change.
Just to underscore how close it was, the difference was 62 points, which is about 5% of the total. So that's really close. I mean, that's how close your two teams were just in general. And then, of course, it was the penalty points that ended up taking the win away from Advocates of Progress.
Congratulations. I saw smiles. Is there relief?